So today on Screenshots, we're taking the first look in a series of podcasts I'll be doing on very famous actors who should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor in the Oscars, but for some reason were bypassed for one of their key roles. And we're going to start with a very Canadian snub this year. If anyone is part of the Star Trek universe, do you fondly remember Canadian Christopher Plummer playing General Chang in Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country? Now, the basic plot of the movie is the Klingon homeworld has received a major blow to its production facility, and basically the Klingons are facing extinction. Connections are made between Spock and other representatives of the Klingons to seek out peace in order to ensure their survival. And as part of this, William Shatner, Captain Kirk, and the crew of the Enterprise has to meet with the peaceful leader of the Klingons and their main general, General Chang. Now, if anybody knows the history in real life between Christopher Plummer and William Shatner, here's a little bit of background for you. William Shatner's career was not made by Christopher Plummer, but during a very interesting run at Stratford, Christopher Plummer had William Shatner as his understudy, and allegedly he caught a kidney stone, forcing Shatner to come on in his place. And according to legend, if it wouldn't be for that kidney stone, maybe William Shatner would never had the 65-year career, or give or take 65 years. He's still enjoying now. Now, Christopher Plummer since won an Oscar for this part, but for another completely different character, a gay man coming out in his grandfather years. But General Chang stands out for a lot of reasons, because not only is he channeling Ricardo Montalban as Khan, which is my second favorite Star Trek character, because I met Brent Spiner twice at celebrity events. Brent's always going to be a favorite of mine. But General Chang is a very unique person because he's a two-face. He's a typical Klingon egotist. He quotes Shakespeare in the original Klingon, and he seems to not want to speak English, even though he can speak English. He goes through a translator with a very famous scene where Captain Kirk is framed for the death of the leader of the Klingon High Command. He basically does not want to speak to Shatner in his own language during his trial, goes through a translator. Now, one thing about Christopher Plummer, if you know his longevity, everything from Sound of Music to The Silent Partner to some bummer and some weird Canadian-American movies, he's almost, he never goes away, he's always around doing something very, very strong or very, very needed within the Canadian and international film industry. But I think General Chang was almost his gift to the Star Trek universe, because before he appeared on the movie, we never expected Christopher Plummer to ever be in a Star Trek movie. But then he was there and saying, well, he fits perfectly because he overacts like William Shatner. He's a Canadian like William Shatner. He knows all his lines on first takes like William Shatner. And what really stands out for me is Chang is his eye patch, because if you look closely, it's screwed into his head. And what is more Klingon than that? I don't need no patch. I'll just get 3 Frankenstein screws, and it'll showcase my my great strength as a Klingon. Now, the Undiscovered Country has a great cast, a lot of character actors, a lot of returning people, including one of the last appearances of Michael Leonard as Sarek, and like the whole original crew together. Like most Star Trek movies, on second or third or fourth viewing, it's not enough. You pick up more things. The only negativity of this movie is that General Chang doesn't have any scenes with the beautiful Kim Cattrall, who again is another Canadian in the Star Trek movie. So in this movie we have James Doohan, who's also Canadian, and certain actors who a lot of people don't know they're Canadian, but it was a very North American production. Anyway, if you have a chance to watch Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country, may I suggest the unedited version, because the unedited version has a better soundtrack and a better overall high definition. It's available on the various Blu-rays, but there's a special edition featuring all the Star Trek movies that's out there for less than $100 if you can pick it up. And anyway, I've never met Christopher Plummer, but if I do, the first thing I say, well, thank you for all your great performances, but especially for General Chang, because deep down, people don't think of Klingons as being Canadian, but in this case, he was hoser all the way because he just basically ate scenery like Canadian actors normally do. Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling, Jim Carrey. That's what Canadians do. So, again, have a great evening. And if you're a part of the Star Trek universe, just remember that you need to boldly go with no man or woman that's gone before to reach your old Enterprise. So, again, Khan, General Chang, all the great characters in the history of Star Trek, may they live long and prosper. Goodbye.